In the silence of the night, the distant stars paint the sky like a painter, while each stroke whispers a phrase that touches us deep inside. Certain zodiac signs appear as cold as a wall, with their hearts frozen. In today's video, we will talk about 6 zodiac signs whose inner worlds seem to be made of stone. Get ready for an intense journey as you learn about these signs and feel the enigmatic coldness of each one. Before starting this adventure, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and activate notifications to stay updated on new astrology videos. Our first sign with a heart of stone, in 6th place, is Gemini. This air sign, endowed with mutable energy, carries 2 different personalities under the influence of its ruling planet, Mercury. Curious and intelligent, Gemini tends to keep its emotions superficial. From the outside, it can sometimes seem as cold and distant as if walking on ice. Gemini prefers to follow the melody of its mind rather than the beat of its heart. Absorbed by curiosity, it uses words like weapons and has a great skill for hiding emotions. Natives of this sign go with the flow of conversation and can unexpectedly become silent, wearing an expressionless mask. They tend to keep emotions deep inside and often stay to the side rather than always taking center stage. In relationships, Gemini bases its strategy on reason. This sign rarely loses composure even in emotional moments and prefers to resolve conflicts through dialogue. Sometimes after a romantic disagreement, Gemini puts aside feelings to present a new plan. This cold attitude can hurt the other's heart. For Gemini, love is like a riddle filled with reason that needs to be solved. In daily life, Gemini seems energetic, able to joke in a crowd and make everyone laugh. But behind that generous smile lies a loneliness deeply buried in the soul. In the morning, when rushing to work and closing the door quickly, and at night, when waking up alone, Gemini may look at the sky and hope for a warm answer from the cold stars. In these moments, connecting to the outside world through intellect reveals a heart protected by an icy armor. The path to Gemini's heart demands patience. Although it may seem rigid and cerebral at first, it is clear that behind its walls hides a delicate and fragile side. But if you have the courage to break down that wall, a genuine love will reveal itself, expressed quietly but truly, a silent softness that whispers from the ice. As Gemini moves lightly among ideas, perhaps your patience is the key to melting its frozen heart. Maybe the true hardness of a Gemini's heart lies in the abyss of contradictions in its soul. Those who fail to understand it do not perceive the deep storm beneath the frozen surface. Although they seem insensitive and distant, until someone breaks their hearts, Gemini will devote all its curiosity to dreaming a new story. Until then, perhaps you should seek the true warmth of this sign hidden beyond its icy wall and dreams. Our 5th sign with a heart of stone is Libra. Libra, the leading sign of the air element, seeks balance and harmony under the elegant influence of its ruling planet Venus. In relationships, it meticulously strives to weigh everything fairly and generally projects an image of satisfaction outwardly. However, beneath this calm surface lies a cold silence, a mechanism to avoid conflict. It is difficult to appreciate Libra's touching side because this sign fears conflict. At every opportunity, it seeks conciliation, and in its effort to maintain inner balance, frequently denies or represses its emotions to preserve its inner peace. It may minimize or even ignore conflict, even in close relationships. Libra, without having exaggerated expectations, may choose to leave problems unresolved and distance itself. In relationships, Libra expertly uses eloquence and a kind smile to reach agreements. However, in tense moments, it can detach emotions and withdraw delicately. Overlooking conflict with a sweet apology or excuse is one of its favorite cold defense tactics. This silent retreat may seem like innocent courtesy to a loved one, but can hide a cold wall. To illustrate Libra's everyday life, in the morning, heading to work, it selects serene music and carefully adjusts its mood. This sign keeps an organized agenda in meetings, and during lunch may take care of simple tasks like picking up trash. It might withdraw to a corner and even offer literary recommendations to strangers while focusing on small details. Instead of giving space to emotions, it plans its next action. Returning home at night, it might review its notebook to mark the day's mistakes. Even in tiredness, its face may hide an expressionless seriousness. Libra's coldness arises from conscious silence. Its fragile heart is lost in the harmony of social balance, a silent and docile attitude that seems naive from the outside, but internally can harden like ice. Libra always shows a fair expression, but sometimes chooses silence and resolves problems internally, even in disputes where it believes it is right. Perhaps that's why when you fail to understand a Libra, you think its heart is made of stone. Libra weaves its inner storms with rationality. The emotions of this sign are like flowers decorating a glass room, always visible but untouchable. Since it strives to distribute everything fairly, Libra thinks even the smallest injustice must be sealed with ice. After all, for Libra, establishing a connection starts by mirroring the other's hesitant heart. It's not about warming up, but preserving balance. Our fourth sign with a heart of stone is Capricorn. Capricorn, the leading representative of the earth element, draws a disciplined and serious profile thanks to the influence of its ruling planet Saturn, known for its goal-oriented approach. Capricorn leaves little room for emotions and moves under the shadow of responsibilities. With an icy gaze, it examines its environment like a meticulous businessman. To observers, this sign may seem hard and unattainable on the outside. Capricorn's inner voice is generally cautious and meticulous. Those born under this sign are known for their determination to reach goals, putting feelings aside and preferring strict discipline, along with a race against the clock every new day. To Capricorn, each day is like climbing a mountain, acting carefully at every step and willing to appear dispassionate when necessary. Even in emotional difficulties, Capricorn does not neglect obligations, becoming a solid rock for others. In relationships, Capricorn assumes commitments faithfully, but does not open up emotionally with the same speed. Even with loved ones, it may behave in a calculated and distant way. For Capricorn, true love is summarized in loyalty and dedication, which manifest over time. Instead of creating romantic moments, it prefers to take solid steps toward its future. Such a partner may seem cold, but offers a reliable plan instead of passionate words. In essence, it draws a protective circle. Watching a Capricorn in daily life, it does not feel at peace if it does not get up early and start the day in an organized way. While heading to work, this sign prepares its weekend plan in the car and reviews its responsibilities. It does not like to mix feelings with tasks. Returning home at night, listening to relaxing music with headphones, it imagines future dreams. Lost time seems useless. In meetings, it chooses a succinct action plan instead of drowning in words, finally presenting the cold realities to those around it. Capricorn's coldness lies in having much to lose. Deep inside, it harbors a warm loyalty, but prefers to keep it silent rather than express it. To those who perceive it as harsh, it is hard to understand that Capricorn does not lower its shield, but is a warrior who carries responsibilities alone. Its courage does not show in its cold appearance, but in how it guards its feelings. Capricorn is like a solitary mountaineer climbing the summit, overcoming layers of snow and ice with each step. It remains steady like a discreet hero hiding its tears and silently announcing its victory. The stone wall in its heart acts as armor. Every difficult decision is the painful price to keep that inner warmth intact. Capricorn's world is wrapped in biting cold. Love is expected, but often manifests as chilling silence. Our third sign with a heart of stone is Scorpio. This fixed sign of the water element is ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation and depths. Scorpio draws a complex and enigmatic profile, hiding traces of passion and secrets in its eyes. Observers perceive a storm in its cloudy gaze, although most of the time it keeps those feelings to itself. Scorpio rarely reveals its deep emotions. In its inner world, it may harbor intense envy and a strong possessive sense, requiring a long time to learn to trust. When betrayed or disappointed, it hardens suddenly to the point that those around it may feel lost in an impossible maze to decipher. Loving to keep everything under control, Scorpio cautiously navigates the surface while hiding its inner storm only to itself. In relationships, Scorpio fully commits, exalts the loved one, and bonds passionately. However, if you ever break its heart, a cold and ruthless pride suddenly takes over. Having grown used to protecting itself from possible betrayal, Even the smallest emotional wound in a dispute may leave an icy mark. For Scorpio, love is all or nothing. When it thinks limits have been crossed, it suddenly creates nebulous distances. In daily life, Scorpio stands out like a comet looking at the sky while walking down the street. In the morning, heading to an early meeting, it executes its plan with cold serenity. At noon, it doesn't stop to share life details. And at night, returning home, alone, it looks in the mirror questioning unmistakable feelings in its eyes. But no one ever knows. Its silence can even foreshadow the loudest storm. It is easy to perceive Scorpio as someone with a heart of stone, but the truth is it hides the pain inside. The more it conceals, the less it hurts. That is why it prefers to face its burdens without breaking down its walls. Even when writhing in deep loneliness in front of the world, it only shows a determined and cold image. Its power lies in silence, the ability to wound so precisely while hiding everything inside. It is, in fact, a complex emotionality that transcends the obvious. Scorpio moves silently like a comet, suddenly disappearing instead of giving a loud response. For this sign, having a heart of stone means preserving a passion that reaches deep within. Behind its relentless appearance hides a virtuous dedication to those it loves. Its curves reflect the silent strength of the deep ocean. The icy wall in the heart of this powerful water sign is essentially the symbol of justice and loyalty it defends. Our second sign with a heart of stone is Virgo. Virgo, the mutable earth sign, has a sharp mind and analytical gaze under the influence of its ruling planet Mercury. Its perfectionism and fascination with details lead it to adopt a simple and distant attitude in relationships. Virgo expresses feelings fused with reason so that it may project a cold and critical image from the outside. Virgo stores emotions in a rigorous order. Routines and responsibilities play a major role in its world, making emotional chaos very uncomfortable. Its inner world resembles meticulously arranged rooms. It has a mind that writes its worries and fears in a notebook, even expressing them as criticisms. Always focused on faults, it tends to build an emotional wall both by questioning itself and those around it. In relationships, Virgo prioritizes simplicity and service instead of grand or effusive gestures. Its effort to make the other's life easier might be preparing a loving meal or being impeccable when giving directions, but it does not express feelings as clearly. Prone to pointing out errors and faults, even in intimacy, it wants everything to be perfect. That is why it can sometimes seem cold and distant. For Virgo, true love is measured by the ability to correct imperfections and grow together. To illustrate Virgo in daily life, in the morning, heading to work, it chooses calm music and meticulously adjusts its mood. In meetings, it keeps its agenda organized and even takes care of simple tasks during lunch. It might retreat to a corner and not hesitate to offer book recommendations to a stranger while focusing on small details. It prefers planning its next activity rather than giving space to emotions. Returning home at night, it may review its notebook, noting the day's mistakes, maintaining an expressionless seriousness even when tired. Calling Virgo cold is not understanding its intricate world. Every rule and criticism it utters is actually an attempt to protect its loved ones from imperfections. It acts as if raising walls with its criticisms to guard an attentive and caring heart. This emotional wall often resembles a block of ice, although it may not seem naive when alone and lost in thought. In reality, it is working on finding solutions. Over time, you will discover that Virgo's hardness arises from its need for order and control. This sign has mastered balancing emotions with reason and relying on itself. Sometimes accepting love from those who appear distant seems an impossible dream, because for it, perfect love demands impeccable balance. Even in the depths of Virgo's frozen heart may hide a genuine spark of compassion. Finally, our first sign with a heart of stone is Aquarius. Aquarius, the fixed air sign, stands out for the energetic and unconventional thirst for freedom that radiates from its ruling planet Uranus. It resembles a pioneer walking alone through the crowd, feeding more on rationality than compassion, choosing to live its emotions in more abstract dimensions. What is interesting about this sign is that it has a refined intellectual quest according to its inquisitive nature, which sometimes makes it seem like it connects with a distant star, rather than opening emotional windows. Aquarius's mind is broad and limitless, This sign, aspiring to dissolve all into its own melting pot, maintains individual independence to the fullest. So even with close ones, it establishes considerable distance. It has its own rules, and instead of sharing emotional responsibilities, it occasionally immerses itself in completely abstract and intellectual debates. Even amid a crowd, you may see it in a corner, absorbed in its thoughts, gazing at the horizon, with its mind wandering among the stars. Those moments of solitude are in some way the source of its emotional coldness. In relationships, Aquarius prefers to maintain the role of friend, interpreting emotional demands as a challenge. Even with its partner, it opts for conversation instead of hugs, demonstrating feelings through the flow of knowledge rather than reacting impulsively. It tends to address problems with logical solutions, which can be interpreted as coldness. For Aquarius, love is a universal concept. In personal bonds, shared ideas and ideals are much more valuable. In daily life, those who observe an Aquarius notice its unusual inclinations. It begins the day by asking curious questions. You might find it conducting an experiment in its room or working on a socially impactful project. Even in the crowd, it is seen in a corner, absorbed in thought, staring at the horizon and wandering among the stars. This sign, harboring a vast universe within, maintains an unchanging expression that sometimes gives it a stone-like imperturbability. Aquarius's essence of having a heart of stone arises from seeing the world through unconventional perspectives. It dislikes emotional dramas and pursues cold realities, which requires from both itself and its environment the minimum sentimental exchange. Its empathetic capacity manifests differently. Instead of a simple hug, it prefers to contribute to others' freedom. It is hard to hurt, because the ideas it cultivates inside do not tolerate merely emotional responses. For Aquarius, coldness is not a choice, but a lifestyle, defining establishing bonds through virtual thoughts. Thus, instead of being carried away by worn-out emotions, there is in it an inexhaustible commitment to all humanity. It may be complex to break through the icy walls of an Aquarius, but the silence that inhabits its heart guards secrets others seek deep within. While remaining distant, it may be weaving in another galaxy, a hopeful dream about those it loves. We have reached the end of this video. I hope the stories of these 6 signs, whose depths seem coated in ice, were as interesting as they were enigmatic. Thank you for joining us on this mystical journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications so you don't miss new episodes where we will discover more zodiac secrets and traits. Once again, after this shared astrological journey, I invite you to explore my other videos. I would love to know in the comments which sign you think will tell the story capable of melting its interior. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.